Recovery Sort Of is a podcast where we discuss recovery topics from the perspective of people living in long-term recovery. This podcast does not intend to represent the views of any particular group, organization, or fellowship. The attitudes expressed are solely the opinion of its contributors. Be advised, there may be strong language or topics of an adult nature.
Welcome back. It's Recovery Sort Of. I am Jason, and I exercise.
And I'm Billy. I'm a person in long-term recovery.
I'm Jenny. I'm also a person in long-term recovery.
I'm Caroline, and I'm also a person in long-term recovery.
And we're talking about exercise. Why? Because I don't know. Because it's good for you.
Great.
Yeah, no, there's probably if you have struggled with substance use or struggled with your life, someone along the way, whether it be a doctor, a parent, a caregiver, somebody has suggested probably to get into some form of movement or exercise or physically using your body, because there's something about physically using our bodies that is apparently really good for us. So that's what we're here to talk about. Caroline, I think you're going to steal the show here, so go for it.
Yeah, for sure. So, I think at this point it's really like I started pulling information for this episode, and the amount of resources that are out on the internet right now that kind of validate this idea that exercise is like such a critical piece of health and well-being it's immense. But I pulled a couple of things in. So from a couple of reputable sources, the CDC, which is Center for Disease Control, says that being physically active can improve your brain health, help manage weight, reduce the risk of disease, strengthen bones and muscles, and improve your ability to do everyday activities. So it says adults who sit less and do any amount of moderate to vigorous physical activity gain some health benefits. Only a few lifestyle choices have as large an impact on your health as physical activity. So then, kind of diving in a little bit more. So we're exercise is great for physical health. I think people have known that for a really long time. Like, that's not the shocker. I think it's the part about your mental health that's become to the forefront a little bit more recently. So the NHS, which is the National Health something, and they're over in the UK, they say that research shows that physical activity can boost self-esteem, mood, sleep quality, and energy, as well as reducing your risk of stress, clinical depression, dementia, and Alzheimer's. So there's, like I said, there's tons of research that validates this. A meta-analysis. So that's a researcher basically went in and pulled a bunch of meta-analyses, which is, other researchers that have pulled other people's research. So this is like 3 steps back, right? Looked at 100 meta reviews of randomized controlled trials and found that physical activity should be viewed as a first choice treatment for people living with mental health issues. So this meta-analysis found that essentially all forms of exercise produce significant mental health benefits, and that shorter, high-intensity exercise programs produce the greatest effect. So then just a couple of more facts. Physical activity produced a median reduction in mental health issues from 42 to 60%, whereas psychotherapy and pharmacotherapy produced a much smaller improvement between 22 to 37%. So, Jason, all of your clients should just go exercise and stop seeing you.
Exercise more, get off meds, you'll be fine.
That's totally what that research says.
So, and then I thought this was interesting too. So it says for people who are older than 45 or older, or deconditioned, right, which I don't think is really any of us, right? Deconditioned means, I had to Google that, but that means basically if you're out of shape. So over the age of 45 and or out of shape, many studies show that walking 20 to 40 minutes each day was particularly effective for improving depression and anxiety. So I thought that was really interesting, right? Because that's like a super, super simple thing to do. 20 to 40 minutes.
Ooh,
you could even
easy.
Go around. Too big of a commitment?
No. Just saying it's super simple.
Yeah.
For some people.
Okay, fair.
It's not a lot of time, but finding the time and having that commitment is difficult.
Yeah, well, and I think Jason's probably talking about people who are depressed struggling to
yeah,
get up.
the population that's going to be most helped by this is the population that can't seem to do it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So I guess let me pause there. I just dumped a bunch.
Oh my God, did you?
Yeah.
and just ask, like, does that resonate for you guys?
Yes, I mean, it resonates in the sense that yes, I believe that movement and maybe challenging our body or pushing our body a little bit or just there's something about moving that we need. Right. And I ain't got all that figured out or know exactly what it is. But yes, I totally agree. The times in my life when I have a regular amount of movement that is going on, I'm generally happier, better, better off, nicer to people around me. Like there's definitely something. So I don't disagree with any of that.
Yeah. And what I saw was, stuff I was looking up. When you do regular exercise, it also increases your endorphins, which contribute to your happiness. So that, there is like an actual chemical process going on where you're making more of a chemical that helps you feel better about yourself in your brain naturally. So like for me, I got into exercise. I was never really overweight. I had always been thin, but I was looking for something. I realized I had a lot of stress and like social anxiety with work, and I just needed some outlet for that stuff. So I started for those reasons, and it's helped tremendously, for like just stress and anxiety and my overall mood, feeling better, somewhere to like burn off that excess shit, whatever that is.
That's what I was thinking too, was the endorphins. Like, I don't, does it do dopamine too? Is that one?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
As well.
And so I didn't get into regular exercise till after I got sober, and I just noticed that when I started doing regular exercise, I was just calmer because I'm the anxiety one too, and so it just made my whole body feel like softer, I guess, like just more relaxed, and I was less likely to overthink something, less likely to yell at my kids, less likely to get spun up about some kind of situation. Like basically if I pooped my body out, like if I exhausted my body, it wasn't going to go into overdrive in the wrong way. And so I just tried to keep up with it.
Yeah.
It really feels like, and this isn't a judgment, but I'm relating to pieces of my life where I guess I've found a solution, and it's been something that like, okay, I can't wait for 10 years for maybe a better solution because I need to change this behavior now and be a better person now. But I don't know necessarily that also sounds like the best version of getting there, right? Like, hey, I'm really struggling in my life, but if I just beat the shit out of my body and wear it the fuck down, I ain't got nothing left to be stressed. So, okay, that'll work. Like, that doesn't sound like the healthiest version
beat the shit out of it. Like a gentle method just takes the edge off. And maybe you do need more. Maybe you do need therapy or like some kind of antidepressant or anti-anxiety meds, but it kind of took the edge off, and maybe my case wasn't that extreme, or just my family took the brunt of it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's a terrible strategy, right? I think it could be part of a strategy for sure, because in my mind, what's really happening is we all have these nervous system survival reactions throughout every day. Some more than others. Some maybe that looks like 23 hours and 56 minutes of their day, right? Some people it's like half the time. Some people it's less. But you're having this excess survival energy flooded into your system throughout your day, and to again different intensity levels. Like most of this you're not going to notice because you already do it every day and it just feels like life, right? But there is this excess nervous system survival energy being flooded into your system, and exercise is going to give you an outlet to kind of do that. Sort of like if you were in the Sahara and you ran into the lion, right? And you run the hell away. You've done your exercise, and now the survival reaction can go away because you've expended the energy from it, I guess. So there is a piece of it that kind of needs to happen. It's just, what are we doing after we calm our nervous system to try to help ourselves not have the same intensity level of reaction next time, so that we don't have to keep doing that cycle?
Yeah, totally. So it requires like the inner work of like, I guess, in my case, it was facing, why would I want to yell at my kids? Like, what am I not coping with well, and so it did take that work too, which all happened in those years after I quit drinking.
Well, and I think just like for overall health, like if you're thinking of exercise, say for like weight or overall health, just exercising alone isn't the only, like, that's not going to fix it all on its own. Like if you say I change nothing else, but I just exercise, it's probably not going to work, for you. And it same as with mental health. Like I just can't go, oh, I'm just going to go walk for 20 minutes a day. And now all of a sudden that's going to fix all my mental health issues. That's not really, it takes a little more than that to get, I guess, lasting effects or more impactful effects. Like it's a good foundation or a good place to start. Yeah. But also, even if you think of, okay, walking for 20 minutes, like if you could make that commitment, like that's I don't want to say easy, but like simple commitment that you can make. Like I could probably find 20 minutes to go outside and walk around the block. Even to go to a therapist, well, I got to find a therapist. Then I got to make an appointment. Then I got to wait till Tuesday at 4 o'clock. And then Tuesday at 4 o'clock, do I feel like going to that appointment? And it's an hour. And then I got to drive there and drive back. So now it's 2 hours. And fuck that. I don't have that kind of time.
Y'all don't talk to many depressed people, do you? Because it's cold outside all winter. And then it's rainy. And it's windy. And I don't have anywhere to walk that's safe. And there's no sidewalks. And like, there's a shit ton of reasons not to walk too.
But the mall is that's like, I feel like that's the thing. You always see the old people at the mall walking. They know what's up, right? Like that's a good place to go.
That would be a terrible place for my wife to go. I'm just saying, like, she gets relief as much out of shopping as she does out of physical movement. So I'm not going to like, that's like saying, take me to the pastry shop or something and I'll walk around it. Like, that's not going to work.
Well, and I just mean on levels of things that you're going to commit to, like on levels. I mean, obviously to do it takes some sort of effort, some sort of commitment. And in my life, that's always been the hard. Like I've been really great at starting things and then terrible at like following through. Like I'll start for a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month, and then like a month in, all the excuses start and all the things that I've been running into. Oh, the gym's too busy and there's too many people there, or it's cold outside, or it's raining today. Like that'll start, but it is fairly low. And for me personally, being a person that has a lot of like social anxieties and shit, like I don't have to talk to anybody at all when I exercise. I don't have to talk to one single person. I put my headphones on. I don't talk to a person. I just go to where people aren't in the gym.
What's hilarious about that to me is I was just sitting here while you were talking, Billy, and thinking, I guess if people are like doing this in a way that's connecting, that's probably good for them. And before you stopped, you're like, nope, that's not how I'm doing it. Like, shit.
No, I'm not doing it for connecting.
No, I mean, so the studies, guys, I mean, the studies that I found, a few things. One is that it doesn't have to, it's all types of exercise. So that's really like, if you're someone that likes to have that camaraderie and you want it to be like a team event, that's great. If you're someone who wants that solitude, that works as well. But I think, one of the things that's emerging in the research is if you're going to do a single thing, exercise should be it, because it is the single most effective. It's amazing if you
totally disagree.
Okay, well, the meta-analysis disagrees with you,
but
Jason.
How many?
So.
But what you just said was that information said that it has looked at that difference of people working out in a camaraderie type situation versus people working out alone. And I don't know that any of your meta-analysis actually looked at that.
Yeah, no, I'm not claiming that they did. What they looked at is a variety of studies, and those studies all had different treatments, right?
I got you.
So they found that across the board, no matter how they defined exercise or what that exercise looked like, it was beneficial to the participants.
Have they done it where they tested people who did exercise alone versus exercise in a group setting?
So that was not within my research. I'm sure that research exists, and
Possibly.
my guess is that you'd get increased benefits, right?
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I did not read every one of the studies that was examined.
I
did not volunteer for that.
It sounded like you were given that idea. I don't know. I have used exercise as a part of my recovery, but it did not stem from a place of like, I want to be healthier now that I'm not shooting heroin and cocaine. It was more like, I have felt small and weak my whole life, which is part of my problem. So if I go to the gym and get bigger, I will, one, look good and feel better about myself, which isn't necessarily a terrible idea. but also too, I got bigger and didn't have to feel, well, I thought I wouldn't have to feel quite as scared anymore. Didn't quite work out that way.
It doesn't work that way.
No, I just felt scared, but then people generally didn't bother me. So that was a nice little caveat to it. But that's what inspired me to go. And I mean, I think that almost an obsession level, right? Like, I was using exercise or the gym or the things I was getting from it the same way I was using everything else in my life to try to not feel so terrible, which I think is actually what every human is doing. We're all seeking this relief from this bad feeling we have. So that's the one I chased. And, you know, it's evolved over time. It doesn't look like that anymore, but still do it because I like the way it feels, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I look at all of the ways that we as humans can cope, and especially the people in this room, like we had some really unhealthy and quite honestly, like fatal ways of coping. Exercise for me feels immensely better than that. So for me, two things, right? Like exercise on a regular basis keeps me feeling better in general. Like if I can start to feel my mood. If it's like been like 5 or 6 days and I haven't done any physical activity, I can map my mood against that. But then also as like a coping mechanism when I'm really feeling shit, that is so much healthier than pretty much anything else I can do. Like if I'm feeling like just like awful and hating the way I feel and feeling like I need to do something to get out of that, going to the gym and running for 30 or 40 minutes or walking out my door and running for 30 or 40 minutes is so much healthier for me than pretty much anything else that I could choose to try to feel better in that moment. And it's accessible. That's the other thing that came up, Billy, when you were talking about like the ability to go and walk for 20 minutes versus going to see a therapist. And the therapist is like, you have to wait till that day that you're scheduled, but I can go and exercise like at any point in time. I belong to a 24-hour gym. So, you know, if I'm feeling shit at 9 o'clock at night, I can still go to the gym and feel better when I leave. So that's one of the things that I think for me, like it has become like a really helpful resource in that way.
I find it interesting the way you describe that. And I'm not, again, this is not from a place of judgment or criticism. It's just a curiosity. Like, that doesn't sound any different than the way we use drugs.
Yeah, but running is healthy for me and has benefits and is not going to kill me versus shooting heroin.
I mean, people die from heart attacks running. And yes, we say it's healthier, but we're also doing damage to our knees and our back while we're doing it. So it's not completely scot-free. I think we like to look at it that way. But the truth is, like what you said was, when I feel a way I can't tolerate, I have to run off and do this thing. And I'm like, I don't know. Are we really changing our patterns and cycles if we're just replacing one thing with another? And I'm not arguing that exercise is not way fucking better to do when you're not feeling well than heroin, right? That's not the point here. I'm just saying, like, it's still that same cycle. I feel a feeling. I don't feel the ability to sit still with it and actually just feel it or express it. So now I'm going to run and do a thing, or I'm going to run and buy a thing, or I'm going to run and eat a thing, or like, what's the difference?
Yeah, and I think that's I don't know that there is a huge difference in terms of the reaction, but the outcome is different, right? Because again, I mean, I do believe, yes, okay, my knees maybe when I'm 80 are going to be in worse shape than if I hadn't ran and I was 85.
Maybe.
But in the grand scheme of things, like that's helping me get through those days sometimes, you know? And if that is, especially like when we think about people in early recovery, if anything that you're doing to help you cope and not go back to using is going to help you in the long run, because then you still have that opportunity the next day.
Possibly. I mean, that's the one side of the theory, right? I guess the other side of the theory would be if we continue in the same cycle, we're actually closer to going back and using that other thing when exercise stops working, or when we hurt ourselves and can't move for 3 months. We're still in that cycle of, oh, I don't feel good. I can't sit still with it. Let me run to a thing. That might be setting us up to go back to using more so. Like we can look at that from either side.
Yeah, I mean, that's
and
fair.
I'm not trying to argue that exercise is bad for anybody. I'm just, I don't know that that's necessarily...
I feel like that idea, like I think of it because that's not why I exercise. Like my coming to exercise was completely different than any of that. But it's, to me, the way Caroline's describing it, it's more like harm reduction kind of thing. Like when we look at harm reduction when it relates to drug use, it's not like we don't look at people that are on a maintenance program or doing something else and be like, well, they're just as close to using as ever. We're like, no, that's better. Like you're doing a better thing than what you would be out using street drugs or managing unreasonably. So, is it the ideal state of a human being? Probably not, but it's definitely healthier, safer, and better than what we would normally do. So
yeah. Well, I'm not arguing the harm reduction aspect of it. I think Caroline was presenting the idea that this was the best possible thing she could do in that scenario. So I challenged that. I don't know that it's the best thing we can do. I think it's a good alternative to drugs. Probably a good alternative to like overeating snacks, right? Probably a good alternative to buying shit you don't need. But I just don't know that it's necessarily the best practice.
What you're describing is what I would call trading addictions. And so I've seen a lot of people come into recovery and then they go right into like a hardcore exercise program and like
CrossFit.
And like just kind of overdo it. And then you just know that they're just like running from something still, and I mean, I'm not their sponsor. They're not asking my advice, but you could just tell they're just trying to burn something away, Yeah,
you see it with the guys, it's the gym rats, and then they're taking steroids.
And then, well, I mean, I used to see groups of guys in AA, like when a newcomer came in, maybe one of them became their sponsor, and they would just, fold them into the clique. Like, all right, now we're all going to the gym, like gym tanning laundry or whatever. And so I saw that a lot. But I mean, but then there's the people that just run away with it. But actually, Jason, what you described is like kind of like the low drama trading addictions. It doesn't have to be the guy that's like totally working out every day and like got huge, or the gal who like runs marathons now. Like those are the extremes. But what you described is kind of like the low key trading addictions. And that happens too. And I can't say I'm innocent from that. I definitely think when I started running, which was in my like second year of recovery, it kind of did feel like I was running from something. Like I was like, I'm a new person, somebody who exercises, and I'm going to do really awesome at this, and I'm going to prove that I am not that person I used to be. My running has since chilled out.
Did it make your life unmanageable? So I feel like that for me, that's a really important bar when I think about like what am I doing, and is it an unhealthy coping mechanism? Jason's going to argue with this too. I'm already preparing.
I'm here to argue with everything.
But yes, indeed.
It's my goal.
Is like, does it make my life unmanageable? This actually came up. I was at a meeting last week, and a guy was talking about like trading addictions, and he goes to the gym, and he was like jacked. But I'm like, to me, like there's healthy coping mechanisms, and then there's addiction, and addiction makes my life unmanageable.
I don't know. We just keep calling all this stuff different words. We got addiction over here. We got disordered eating over there. We got healthy coping skills over here. And it's all the same in my head, man. We are fucking chickens. Chickens peck at the ground because they need food. But their brain doesn't say you need food. Their brain says food feel good. Food feel good. And so they peck all day long. That is like their only pleasure sensor, food, period. Right? So they just do it all day long. Peck at the fucking ground.
They dirt bath too.
Okay.
They like that
They
a
have
lot.
that one too. I forgot that one. They do
lay
dust
eggs.
baths. Yeah. So that's all we're doing. We're all a version of a chicken seeking relief. But for everybody, because of the story we got and because of the way our nervous system was programmed, that relief looks different for everybody. It's all the same fucking thing. Whether you're seeking heroin, whether you're seeking a run, whether you're seeking a food, there's no difference. We're all just seeking relief. We're all just seeking that pleasure, that reward system. So I don't know.
But again,
we got
I would
a lot of
argue
words for it, but like
now I know what that tweet was about.
I would argue the difference is like, is it making my life better or worse? And drugs, overeating, over shopping make my life worse.
Well, and this is a theory I heard one time. It's not really to argue. It's more to agree with almost what you're saying, or maybe just give it a different perspective, that as human beings, like before we got into current modern society that we have, like we were responsible to go out and we had to exercise for survival. We had to go hunt our own food. We had to go, build our own house. We had to do all this stuff for ourselves. And through that, we got physical activity. We also had, like you had talked about, like real true life stresses. We were running from saber-toothed tigers or whatever the hell we were running from that might want to eat us. And we were hunting and gathering our food and doing all these things. And now all that shit's gone. So all our stresses are these artificial stresses. We're not physically challenging ourselves, so that causes us to create all this artificial stress and stimulation. So that by getting back into more physical activities, the guy that was talking about this said he thinks everyone should go out and like set a goal that they know they're going to fail at. Like just decide, like, I'm going to run a marathon in a month, and then just try to just start working towards that and set yourself up to like really stress yourself. And maybe it's not run a marathon. Maybe it's swim, 5 miles. I don't like to run because, like you said, it's bad for your knees and shit and ankles. You can swim, you can do other stuff. But the idea was we need to create these stresses on our own. It gives us that mental resilience, that mental neuroplasticity, that we can, push ourselves to challenges, that it's okay to fail, that it's okay to come up short, but we're working towards things. And that helps to combat some of this artificial, like there's too many traffic lights on the way to work, or there's too many people on the street when I drive. Like the stresses we can create on our own are healthier for us than the ones we might run into in a stressful city life.
Yeah, I mean, I think that absolutely makes sense from an evolutionary perspective. So let's talk about why, because I found some stuff about, like why regular exercise is found to help with all of these mental health issues that we struggle with. So this is from the Mayo Clinic, and they said it releases feel-good endorphins, which you guys had said, which are natural cannabis-like brain chemicals and other natural brain chemicals that can enhance your well-being. It can take your mind off your worries.
Sorry, that's so funny that they use cannabis as the baseline.
We're learning.
It's the new miracle drug.
Take your mind off your worries so you can get away from the cycle of negative thoughts that feed depression and anxiety. It can also help you gain confidence. Meeting exercise goals or challenges, even small ones, can boost your self-confidence. Getting in shape can also make you feel better about your appearance. You can get more social interaction if you're not Billy and you want to meet and socialize with other people. Just exchanging a friendly smile or greeting as you walk around your neighborhood can help your mood, and it can help you cope in a healthy way. Doing something positive to manage depression or anxiety is a healthy coping strategy. Trying to feel better by drinking alcohol, dwelling on how you feel, or hoping depression or anxiety will go away on its own can lead to worsening symptoms. So, and I think, we've talked a lot about running, but that's kind of my, like, I need like that, like, I need to like just get it out. But I think for me, like, there's almost like I have like a maintenance program of exercise. So I hike a lot. And then I also do yoga, and then I just kind of like throw running in there when the mood strikes. But one of the things that I think with all of those things that I found that has been like a helpful in addition to the physical activity is this feeling of accomplishment, right? So like within any of those kind of three things that I'm doing, I'm kind of setting targets for myself, and I'm able to see improvement. And that's a really good feeling too, right? Like when I'm consistently, I've talked about like my chaturangas, like I want to be, like I can target things. I can say like, this is an area where I want to see improvement, and I can focus on it. And then when I get that, it's really helpful. I watched a movie in 2020. I think it's called like Brittany Runs a Marathon. And it was this girl who like had been like feeling like very, like a lack of direction in her life and like just kind of depressed. And she decided she was going to run, I think like the New York Marathon or the Boston Marathon. And I watched that movie, and it like inspired me. And so that year I set a goal to run a 5K, and then So like when I started, like I couldn't run at all. Like I could run for like 4 minutes, right? And I got an app, like it was like Couch to 5K, and I did this app, and then I ran a 5K, and like that feeling of accomplishment of like I started and I couldn't do this thing, and then I worked at it, and now I can do this thing. That's a really good feeling, and I think that's something that has helped me. So I tend to do that kind of in whatever physical activity that I'm
when I thought about that, and maybe Jason, you'd be the best to answer this from like a therapy point of view. Like, how beneficial is it just that I'm a person that goes, okay, well, I'm going to do this good thing for myself now. I'm going to take care of myself and give this thing of self-love by doing exercise. Like, that's got to be some kind of benefit to depression, right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. There's a ton of pieces of the way you just laid it out that were beneficial for us, right? One, the first thing that's got to happen in order for you to decide you're going to do some program of exercise is coming to a place of deciding you're unhappy with your current physical environment or life or something about it, and that you also want to do something about it, and that you're also ready to do something about it. So like you have taken yourself through a couple of the stages of change just to get to that point, to make the choice, and then to work through all the general, like this society world machine out here has way too many fucking demands on each individual person at this point. So in order to choose yourself over all those demands and how they make us feel, that's a big step, right? Because now you're taking like self-responsibility and feeling like you're an agent in your own life. You're not just like at the whim of what everybody's telling you or what you have to do. So yeah, all those steps. And then the fact that when you exercise, you are going to lessen your nervous system survival response. You're going to wear it out some. And for most of us who don't even know we're there, that just feels better. We're like, oh, I feel better when I worked out, right? Like, yeah, you've lowered the fucking survival response, and now you're in a calm state, and your prefrontal cortex can take over, so you don't get stuck in that cycle of shitty thinking more as frequently as you used to. You come out of it, right? So ton of good stuff that can happen from exercise. And then caveat, I run. Even though I'm sitting here saying running's not good for you and the human body is generally not built to run, it's built to walk, I still run here and there. It's things we do, right? I have a regular program of exercise that keeps me feeling good in my body or about my body or whatever the hell it's doing. So it's like, yeah, I have these challenging questions about what we're doing, but I don't think it's bad. I'm not sitting here saying nobody should go exercise. Like, please go out and fucking do something for your body.
So I have 2 quizzes about, figuring out what a good type of exercise for you would be. I thought both of these were good when I took them. So I was thinking, Jenny, maybe I'll have you take one and then maybe one of the guys. And then hopefully, our listeners will be able to relate to the answers of at least one of these quizzes. And if you don't relate at all, then Jason will link these quizzes and you can just go take your own version.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I try to express to people that I'm working with when they talk about wanting to start some form of exercise is I think as a society, we've kind of programmed ourselves that it has to look these certain ways, right? If you're a guy, you got to go lift heavy weights and try to get bigger and muscular and stuff. And if you're a female, you're trying to get slimmer or do more yoga or more cardio. Like, movement can be whatever the fuck you want it to be. It does not have to be in a gym. It can be walking through the woods. It can be in your backyard, chasing your kids around, playing tag. It can be anything that feels good and involves moving. Like, so don't pigeonhole yourself into it must look like this. I have to do this version, right? It could be you like team sports. Go fucking join soccer or softball or like there's no wrong way to get movement. So don't feel like there's one special way. So I like the idea of this.
Yeah. So this first one is called Which Fitness Activity Suits You? Jenny, you want to be my guinea pig
Which
here?
fitness?
Which fitness?
Which fitness? That sounds awesome, right? Some spells in there.
Okay.
No wonder she picked me for this one.
If you could choose one place to work out, where would it be? Outdoors?
The moon.
Did you say a moose?
The moon.
Oh.
I want to work out on the moon. It'll be easy. I could run forever.
Outdoors, a calm, quiet studio, a loud, bustling studio, or at home?
Outdoors.
Okay. What intensity physical activity do you like? Moderate intensity. These activities will make you feel warmer, breathe harder, and make your heart beat faster than usual, but you should still be able to carry on a conversation. Or vigorous intensity. These activities will make you feel warmer, breathe much harder, and make your heart beat rapidly, making it more difficult to carry on a conversation.
Moderate.
Yes.
Do you like exercising to music?
Yes.
Jason's like, I want to take it.
I'm a part of this, damn it.
Yes,
We
I
can
do.
grade Jenny's, but I'm answering.
Yes, I do.
How much are you willing to spend? Nothing or very little, or I'm happy to pay for a class or physical activity.
Nothing or very little.
Same.
Okay. How much physical activity do you do? I don't do anything at the moment. I do some moderate physical activity, or I am very active.
Oh. What?
Moderate.
I'm moderate, I guess. Yeah. Thanks
I am.
for filling in the answer for me.
I'm guessing.
I don't know. I mean,
We're
I
all
exercise
moderate,
like
right?
3 or 4 times, 3 or 4
Who's
days
vigorous?
a week. You know,
I
like,
think that's pretty active.
Is
Can
that
I go
okay?
back? I don't know if I can
What's-
go back, though,
What's
guys.
vigorous? Nah,
right? It's
Well, we're going with moderate, Jenny, because
Okay.
I
my
might
head
just-
vigorous is like 16 hours of running a day.
Yeah, I'm thinking the guy that's in the gym twice a day.
Right. Michael Phelps training for the Olympics. That's
Eats
vigorous.
only raw chicken and broccoli.
What would you What would you like to improve? Balance, strength, or endurance?
Yes.
strength.
After physical activity, I like to feel sweaty and like I worked hard, that I had a good catch up with friends while I exercised, like I had a really good stretch, or calm and relaxed.
Yes.
I'll go with the stretch. Not sweaty.
I'm sweaty and like, I want to feel like I did something.
I like sweaty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which fitness activity suits you? Pilates, Jenny. Have you ever done Pilates?
I've never tried Pilates. I like the idea of it.
So most Pilates exercises can be done on a mat. However, some classes are completed using equipment. It's a low impact form of exercise, so injuries are uncommon and you don't have to have a high fitness level to try it. It goes on to talk some more about Pilates, but yeah, that is the recommendation, Jenny. So
Oh, that was my answer.
that was
Oh,
our
yeah.
answer.
Go for Pilates.
Yeah.
Okay.
You better get on it.
I'll look at the YMCA schedule.
There you
and-
go.
Tai Chi is another one that's similar. Tai Chi.
Yeah,
Then when you can sound like
yeah.
you're in a martial art and you're doing
Mhm.
something really cool and Asian.
They used to have Tai Chi at the Y, but then the pandemic destroyed it. I haven't seen it back on the schedule.
Before we hop into this next quiz, this is relating to something that's going on in my life right now. I'm just curious what y'all think about it. My wife and I are talking a lot about like our kids, especially the older kids at this point, and like there's a lot of technology usage and laying around on technology, whether that's TV, phone, pad, tablet, Xbox, whatever. And just talking about like what can we do about it? How can we help? Can we limit the amounts of times on them? And there's some of that we can finagle with, but I guess what I keep coming back to in the grand scheme of how can we help these kids that are like stuck on technology is I don't know that we can. I think the world, humanity, we have created a system of getting rewards, relief, and feeling better that is way fucking better and way less taxing to us than movement, right? Like exercise might have been, like I look at my childhood and I'm like, oh man, we would hate rainy days because you couldn't go out and run around with your friends and connect, right? Like we were called to go run around because it met that relief need that we're all looking for, right? When I said we were chickens earlier, we were all looking for that and we weren't getting it at home and our body knew it said, man, go out and run around with your buddies. It'll feel good, right? And so we chased that. And in 2023, I think our population has fucked us, man. We have invented a technology that gives us a better reward than outside and running does with our friends without having to leave our couch. And I don't know that as humans, we can outthink that fucking chicken brain we have. I really don't. I think we're fucked.
I would argue that we had that when we were kids too, and it was the TV.
It wasn't as good.
It's not as
It's
good.
getting more
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah,
VR,
right.
modern video games.
But I think for some kids, when we were growing up, TV was as good as the physical exercise. There were still kids that
There
absolutely would choose
but
that.
it's getting worse.
Oh, yeah,
for
it's way
all
more
of
the
us.
addictive
technology's
now, for sure.
improving like to a way like now games are completely interactive and they spend tons of money to like keep kids hooked in. And like even when we were kids with video games, and I think we've talked about this, like you would start a game and it had an end. Like you could get to the end of a game and you beat the game, and then you might go find a new game or whatever else. But now games aren't even like that. Like the
Right.
game just is never ending, and they keep introducing new little rewards and new little goals that hit exactly those endorphin things you were talking about when you exercise and hit a goal and how great that feels. Well, now you can do that with this. Oh, I met the challenge today on my video game by racking up 35 kills in one day from the sniper rifle, you know, and you get that same rush.
Well, and I don't know what we're going to do about it. Like, I like to think that all of us are out here like, oh, well, we can just outthink it. We're humans. We're brilliant and amazing. And we can all this great stuff. And like, the more I look at this, the more we are fucking chickens and just don't understand it. And if we could accept that we are, maybe we can do something about that. We can use it to our advantage. But right now, we're sitting here pressuring our kids to, you got to be better than that. You got to want to be off that game. And there is nothing in their fucking physiology that says you want to be off this game. So we're like shaming people about how their body is telling them to be. And I don't know that there's shit we can do about it.
Yeah,
it's
and
scary.
I'm struggling with that exact thing with my son now. Like my wife and I talk about it all the time. I'm like, I can't get mad at him that he is addicted to these video games and this technology. Like getting mad and yelling at him, tell him get off his game and shut it off is not. I mean,
It's
it might
ruining your
work for the
relationship.
moment,
Right.
right? But it's not going to fix the problem. The way I'm addressing it as of right now, and of course with him, he does still play baseball. He still plays at least one sport, so he is getting, and that's his own choice. We're not making him, but I'm glad about that. But I just try to tell him, like, look, dude, just so you understand, like, these games are set up to, like, suck up all your time and suck up all your energy. And I get that it's fun, but just be aware, like, this is what's going on. Maybe help you make some other choices, or maybe a little bit of, like, don't just go into that blindly, you know, recognize, so that hopefully he's just aware of the time he's putting in and aware of what's going on. But, like, yeah, I feel like the best I can do at the moment.
I'm sorry. Yeah, anytime I challenge my kids about this stuff, what it causes is friction between me and them, right? What I'm doing is ruining my connection and their connection to me, which is not going to be healthy for them in the long run. So I can't necessarily challenge it, because the reality is, you know, you say addicted to video games, Billy, and I take exception with the fact that we keep labeling these things different, because I think it's fucking up our ability to see them. He's doing the same thing every human and every animal that ever existed is doing, which is chasing something that feels better than right now. That's what the fuck we all do at a base level. We can't stop it. We can't control it. We act like we can. We're like, oh yeah, I'm human. I'll outthink that. No, you're not going to outthink shit. You're going to do the next fucking thing that feels good, whether that's take a drink of alcohol, go shoot some heroin, play a video game. You know, for some of us, that might be call a friend, because we've programmed ourselves that that's our relief, but we're all going to do that. And so it doesn't do me any good to fucking fuck up my relationship with my son when he's doing exactly what I did at that age, and he's doing exactly what my dad did at his age, and exactly what his dad did at his age. Like, we've all done this. We all seek it. And if when we grew up, this technology existed and all our friends were doing it, we would be doing the same thing, because we have an internal drive for connection. And that's how people are getting their connection, through Snapchat, through Xbox party chats, through PlayStation. Like, this is where it is for them. And so we can shame them and criticize them all we want. But the fact is, this is the world we fucking created. We're putting into it. And now we got to figure out a way how to not die off, honestly. Like, that's the next goal, is how do you not all end up extinct? I don't know. Sorry. I'm all
I
over
liked
the place.
Billy's solution of trying to, like, empathize and explain the why, as opposed to, because you were saying, like, the shaming and criticizing and just being like, no, this is what you're going to, you have to put that away, but maybe explaining.
Oh, well, we
why.
did that for a while.
Yeah.
Or I did that. I can't say we. I did that for a while. And then I just realized, like, oh, that's not that's not helpful.
Right.
It really
Right.
just isn't.
I mean, and explain is good, right? We all should know what's going on, right? I think that's helpful to know and understand our body and why it's seeking this, but I really don't know the solutions, right? What I've done in a similar fashion, definitely empathy, understanding, compassion, right? No, trying to actually see what he's doing and that it's no different than what any other human does. And then what I've realized is I would see, like, my wife and I would be sitting there on our phones texting somebody back and then criticizing my other son on his tablet. It's like, oh, wait, that ain't going to fucking work, right? How do I teach him something different? Well, first, I get off my motherfucking technology. Then I create an environment that looks like fun, whether that's cleaning up the living room while I'm dancing and listening to music or something else. And hopefully I can make not technology look like so much fun, because we do still have that built-in need for connection, right? So if I'm connecting with a couple of my family members and we're playing and laughing, the ones that are on technology start drifting over and putting their technology down, right? So it's like, for me, it's been, oh shit, I got to actually model and live this if I want my kids to do it. Fuck.
Well, and isn't there like a place, some of escaping reality for a better experience in the moment, whatever you want to call it, how you describe that. I don't know if I described that well, but some of that's like fun and healthful and play, if you will. Like I do that with some other things that I do, but I just can't get caught up in it where it becomes my escape of all my reality. Like there's a healthy level there somewhere. There's a balance somewhere.
I don't know if you want my answer to this, Bill. I would say the healthiest version is if we just did that all the fucking time. We're not built to go out here and work 40 hours a week our entire fucking life. We're built to chase what we feel like doing in the next moment, because that's exactly what the fuck the chickens do.
Oh, yeah, but I even think of like, all right, let's say, whatever, pick a sport I like, baseball. All right, I want to play baseball. Well, I want to play baseball a lot, but not every moment all the time. Like there's still some part where I need to take care of my human basic needs and maybe take care of my children or provide food or whatever.
Maybe.
I don't know. I think we should be, I think truly our body calls for doing the next thing that feels good for us at any moment. I don't know that we actually escape that. I think what we're trying to do is not do that. And I think that's why we constantly see depression, anxiety, obesity, mental health running rampant in our society. It's not because there's something wrong with us. It's because there's something wrong with the way we're trying to force our body to live that it does not want to.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We don't want to work 40 hours a week. Also, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk can be rich,
Right.
and then there can be homeless people. Like, that's the system we're subscribing to.
So I'm not working 40 hours a week.
Okay.
And I pretty much do whatever I want.
Feels better than
want
ever, doesn't it?
during the week. It doesn't feel as good as you would think, quite
I
honestly.
think you got some other stuff going on. You got some. I mean, you do. I'm not going to put it out there.
I
but
mean,
like, it's a lot different doing nothing, living in a society that says you are supposed to be working, and God damn it, you're going to run out of money and lose your house, Caroline, in a few months.
But I'm not going to run out of money and lose my house. Like
you still worry about it? You've been
no.
stressing about it since you lost your job.
Well, now I'm seeing how little I spend and how robust my bank account still is, and so I'm like, I'm good. I'm good for. I got.
And then you created another situation to have a lot of stress.
I did do that.
You know why? Well, never mind. I'm getting us all off topic from exercise.
Exercise.
Back to exercise. Sorry, I'm ranting this morning.
Okay, so
I'm disabling systems over here. Go ahead.
So the next one is: does your workout routine match your goals?
Yeah, I don't feel like this is gonna be that helpful. I'll let Billy take it.
Okay, Billy.
All right.
Okay.
I don't have no goals.
I don't have any goals.
What is your experience level? I'm new to exercise. I work out occasionally, or I exercise daily.
I exercise daily.
Ew, I
Good
don't-
for you.
I think
I
that
couldn't.
question is wrong.
Yeah, I couldn't have answered either. None of those were right for me
Yeah.
either. But for
Well, I
Billy,
don't know.
it
I mean,
worked.
daily, probably 6 days a week.
That's fair. I mean, yeah,
not
Billy
7.
was the right one to take this because he had
I
an
feel like
answer.
the question is about the experience level, though, but then it
right.
measures your frequency, not your experience level. And I'm like,
experience and frequency. I mean, unless you just started exercising daily like 2 weeks ago.
yeah, but I don't exercise anywhere near daily, but I've been doing it for 22 years.
Right.
And I used to do it daily. So,
What
like,
was
that's
the
my
middle
experience level, and that has nothing to do with
What was
frequency.
the middle option? I can't even remember now.
I don't know, but it wasn't anything to do with experience level. It was with the frequency.
Well, Billy,
Activity level
Billy
would
had
have been
a
a
good
better way to
answer.
phrase
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm taking it apart.
would you rather exercise indoors or outdoors?
God, both. But if I had to pick one, outdoors.
Just a quick caveat. In prison, they used to have all the weights outside in the yard, like under this pavilion. And I've always thought since I came home, I would much rather do that. I want a backyard pavilion with
go
weights
back
in my
to
yard.
I'm like,
prison.
when it's
So awesome.
Yeah,
Out there in
when
the
it's
cold,
fucking
getting it.
cold. I don't want to be
Oh, I
lifting
love
weights
that.
in the cold. I like the gym.
Oh,
I always saw that look
I
cool.
wanna,
in movies,
like,
yeah.
you know, like
Everybody's
when
like,
the
oh,
guys
you
are
love-
working out in their yard.
got
I'm
that
like,
winter
looks
hat
cool,
on, that
man.
hoodie, you're pumping.
Oh,
Yeah,
and
that
people are
feels
like,
awesome.
you love running outside. It's so much better. I'm like, yeah, only when it's like 65 degrees and sunny. Like, it's not better when it's raining and it's cold or it's 90.
Yeah,
like, none of
98,
those
that sucks,
suck.
right?
Okay, so you have to pick 2 of the 3 options for
Oh,
what are
Jesus.
your goals. And I already know what they're going to be. But
Oh, dude.
strengthening and toning, weight loss, or maintaining overall well-being, including mental health.
1 and 3.
Fair enough. I could have picked that up.
Do you like routine or variety? I like to shake it up, or I'm a creature of habit.
Variety.
Interesting.
How do you want to feel after exercising? Zen, challenged but not exhausted, or drenched in sweat and or like I've pushed myself harder than ever?
At the 3.
Do you like to exercise alone or with others?
Alone.
We knew that one.
Well, that depends. So it's funny, though. You said that in the other thing, and I did realize in the other quiz that you did with Jenny, there was a question about that. And I did realize I don't want to talk to people, but there is the people that you see there all the time that go at the same, and it's usually like, hey, what's happening? But I don't want to interact more than that. But you do start to feel like a little bit of a community or a kinship, like you almost know each other because you see each other there regularly.
Yeah.
So I did
like
recognize
both.
that kind of like community that comes from that, even though we're not talking intimately.
Yeah. I mean, I hike and I want to have the woods entirely to myself, but then I do yoga, or like Jenny and I have done some workout classes together, which has been lovely. So I mean, I think it's
Lovely.
lovely.
But for the most
Lovely.
part, most of mine is by myself.
Okay,
if
so
I had to pick
here
one.
is what is recommended for you. We recommend running, resistance training using equipment, jumping rope.
Oh.
And-
Have you jumped rope recently? That is so
yeah,
hard.
We
It
did
is
it at
hard.
CrossFit. It's pretty
Jesus
awful.
Christ.
I'm
Yeah,
not
that's
good at
rough.
it
Pretty
either.
terrible.
Yeah.
And HIIT in exercises, which is high intensity interval training.
So I do high intensity interval training and resistance training, mostly with weights. But I do the machines only when I absolutely have to. I like free weights better.
Yeah, and it says with equipment including deadlifts, overhead dumbbell presses, and dumbbell lateral raises. So yeah, it looks like it can be free weights. No running, no jumping rope though. Better start.
I would
Billy.
probably try it now only because I've been doing some other stuff I'm trying to get. Yeah.
Let's see what it does.
Yeah, so those were the 2 quizzes. We'll have those linked in the show notes for anyone who wants to take one or both. I thought they were pretty interesting. But yeah, I think I don't know. I liked this topic because I know that all 4 of us are very active in our own ways, and again, like I feel like exercise for me more recently, I would say probably starting around the pandemic, or maybe a little bit before that, really became a bigger part of my practices for well-being. And so I thought it would be nice to just kind of address that.
Yeah, and one other thing, Jason kind of mentioned this too, with getting involved in exercise. Like, it doesn't need to look like a gym membership where you go every day or whatever. I started doing jujitsu. We talked about this on a recent episode, and it is like physically exhausting, you know, and we're not ever in there like doing push-ups or sit-ups or any what you would consider like specific thing that would look like exercise, but just going through that physical motion, doing, you know, the wrestling type stuff. It could be another martial art even where you're just kicking or using your body in that sort of way. There's all dance. They had, you know, they were doing the different versions of dance exercise, you know, were going around for a while. Like any of those things, it can still be like something that you're interested in, that is fun. It doesn't have to be like some boring gym routine.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to cost money either. I mean, I have an app. I do yoga at the gym, but I also do yoga at home. I have an app that I love, and there's a million of them, or there's stuff on YouTube. I mean, hiking. There's so much stuff that you can do that you don't have to have a gym membership for. Or
I don't want to
classes.
So I want to plug the Phoenix. That's the one that Caroline and I went to together. It's actually a recovery exercise club, I guess you would call it. That, how do I describe it? So they work out in a gym, but you don't have to pay anything to go to the gym. It's nice if you donate, just like if you donate to any of the, recovery organizations. But you go do like CrossFit stuff, and it's only every 2 weeks here, but there's Phoenix classes everywhere, and it's like yoga or CrossFit or running, or it's all of them. It's on an app. Anyway, so they started one in Cecil County here where we live. So me and Caroline went. It's totally fun being with a group of people who are also in recovery.
So fun.
It's something like, so I don't do weights at a gym. I'm a little intimidated. Like I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't really know muscle groups and things. Even when they say like working your whatever delta something in like yoga class, I'm like, what is that? Like, so I'm really like intimidated and scared to go to like the weight part of the YMCA. But going to this Phoenix class, they teach you the equipment and how you do it, like how you're supposed to hold your body and stuff. First of all, guys, I can't even hold up a barbell. They had to give me a kiddie barbell. Anyway, so I have a lot of room for improvement there. But it's so nice to be with people in recovery because it's like you have that we all survived a shipwreck quality. So I don't feel embarrassed that I don't know anything. Like if I went to the Y, like I don't know I just wouldn't. I'd be so. That's been totally fun. So we've gone to a couple classes. It's only every 2 weeks here. So you should do other stuff in between. This isn't going to get you fit going every 2 weeks, but it's just nice in the variety of things. It's just a good group of people. And I like how it's all on an app. It's very modern. You can pick your classes. You could do virtual classes, or there's like in-person meetups.
Yeah. And I think so. The closer you are to major metropolitan areas, like I think in the Philly area, if we were willing to drive to Philly, there's stuff it looks like pretty regularly. But then alternatively, like I was down south on a mini vacation not long ago, and I looked on the Phoenix app and there was nothing. So it really is very like region dependent, but certainly something we can put the link for that organization up in the show notes too, for anyone who wants to check that out. And I think we talked about potentially having someone come on from that organization. Yeah, it's pretty cool what they're doing. Mm-hmm. That's all I got.
Well, and Jenny did bring up one important thing. Like I know for me, when I first, when I first started exercising, like I thought, I just have to go to a gym and I would go in there to lift weights. I've always been a kind of small guy, and I felt really weak. Like I would look around at all these other guys lifting all this heavy stuff, and it was very intimidating. Like it really was, I'd such struggled with like ego stuff that it was really, and even now, like I'm not a heavy weight lift person, and I see all these other people in there lifting all this heavy shit, and I'm like, I'm never going to get there. But it was important for me to figure out, to question myself, like, what are my goals? Are my goals to be some super big muscle guy? No. So then stop trying to do that. Figure out things that are in line with my goals and what I'm trying to get out of this, not comparing myself to everyone else or what anyone else is doing. And that helped a lot for me now. I can go in and I don't pay as much attention to what other people are lifting, or even a guy that's my size. Like, how can he lift all that heavy shit and I can't lift that heavy stuff? Like, that'll keep you stuck in the wrong mindset when it comes to exercise.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
So what would we suggest to people? I mean, I don't think we're giving groundbreaking information about exercise being good for you, right? Like this is probably something most of us kind of know. And I think especially as a population that struggles with obesity and, things of that nature, there's probably a lot of people walking around saying, I should be exercising. I should be exercising. I should start exercising. So what could we say for those individuals who already know that exercise is like a positive and a thing that would be better for them, but are struggling to start or, can't seem to find a way to get into it, what kind of suggestions do we have for them?
Take the quiz.
Okay.
And then try things. I think one thing that's helpful when you're struggling to start a routine is to have an accountability buddy. So if you can find someone else, if you're on social media and you post, hey, anyone want to start walking with me, or having someone that you're both showing up together can be really helpful. But try different things, like you might have to try 3 or 4 different activities before you find something that you like and feel like you can stick with.
I think it's challenging. And talking about what Billy was talking about, this was, 15 years ago maybe. And I was, in the gym a lot more and some more jacked up and heavier and all that good stuff. And a guy that worked with me finally, he was a heavier guy, but he wanted to go and he talked about it with me. And I was like, man, you should come. Let's go together after work. And he eventually did come a couple of times with me, but he felt extremely embarrassed being there with me, right? We would put the weight on the bench press for me, and then we had to take some off for him because he's just getting into it. And he's like, but I'm way bigger than you and I'm so weak. And I'm like, dude, it's not about that. We're all chasing, trying to be a little stronger or more fit or more endurance. That's why we're here. If we already felt like we had established that, we'd all be at home, right? We're all here with the same goal you have, man. I get it. You feel like you're at a different starting point, but that made it easier for him. And yet at the same time, that's hard for a guy to approach somebody who's already looks like they have a skill or proficiency level at something and say, hey, can I come with you? You know what I mean? That's really challenging, but maybe the people who are working out can do better at being more inviting to other people in there. Hey, if you ever want to come, let's go. Or
yeah, besides the fact that we have different body types, people are just built differently. Right. So I'm smaller. So now when I go, I'm if I start throwing super heavy shit on, I can lift it a couple times, but my body starts hurting, my shoulder aches, I don't want to go the next day. I'm that's not the way that I need to train for me. I'm just not that guy. So I can go lighter, do more just figure out what works better for my body type,
Oh, super important too. And I want to tell people this. It took me 20 years to learn this lesson. If you were going to start a workout routine or movement or exercise after listening to this episode, please, for the love of God, start slow. Yeah. Don't fucking hurt yourself to the point where you can't move the next 3 days. That is not doing you any good. That's
to deter you from wanting to go back.
Exactly. That's the worst thing you can take. It yourself. Easy. Yeah. You are generally barely supposed to know you worked out yesterday the following day. You should not be dying. So if you're doing that, don't do that. I don't know. Anybody got anything else about it?
The only other thing I would suggest is find something that you're interested in that you think is fun. If going to a freaking gym and lifting weights does not sound fun, don't do that. Figure out something else. If you like to swim, if you like to run, if you like to dance, if you want to get into a martial art, any kind of physical activity that's just going to get you moving, that's going to get your heart rate up. There's more low impact stuff like yoga, Tai Chi, all that is still exercise and it's still physical movement and you're still going to get benefits from it.
But I would also say don't be afraid to try. When I started running, I did not think running was going to be fun. And I still don't really think running is fun. It's kind of awful, but, but I like the end results. And not the end results how I look, but I like the way it makes me feel after I've done it. So don't be afraid to try things either. Even if going and lifting weights at the gym sounds terrible, you try it once or twice, you might love it. I think a lot of times, especially when we're new to fitness or anything, we don't even know necessarily what we're gonna like. So
all right, so get out there. If you can, exercise. If you can't, work on getting yourself whatever kind of assistance or help or support you need to start exercising. And then from there, hopefully you will be a calmer, more peaceful, happier person. Take care. Did you like this episode? Share it with people you think might get something out of it. Check out the rest of our episodes at recoverysortof.com. Also, while you're there, you can find ways to link up with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, YouTube, anything. We're always looking for new ideas. Got an idea you want us to look into? Reach out to us.